It's The Last Stand. And here is your host, Brian Custer.
That's right. It is The Last Stand. We bring you the biggest names in the sport. And I tell you what, right now in the sport of boxing, this guy's name is very big. He's unbeaten. He's known as the problem child. Jake Paul, welcome back.
Let's go, baby.
Yeah.
I'm excited.
You know, another rematch with Tyron Woodley, and you seem more amped, it seemed like, for this. Why?
I'm just so much more confident in my ability this time around. I had an amazing training camp, no injuries coming in, and I'm just excited because I know it's going to happen. I'm in the best shape of my life. Truly, my cardio is way better than last time. We just switched up everything. So when you put in the work, that confidence comes out, and I showed a little bit of my energy here on stage. I'm holding it, most of it in for tomorrow, but I'm ready to explode.
And you know, listen, fighters realize when they haven't gone rounds, it's something. When you've got to go 8 rounds and you've never done it before, and for you, the first time around, that was the first time, and you say you felt it after round 4.
Yep. I mean, I had so many unanswered questions. That was my first time even getting hit with a 10-ounce glove, and it was against a 5-time UFC champion who beat everybody with that right hand. So that was my first time going past 2 rounds, first time getting hit with the 10-ounce. So all of those questions are answered now, and I'm so much more confident going in, and I already beat this guy. So there's nothing he can do on Saturday that's going to change the outcome.
Were you surprised that so many people, even the way that fight played out, even believed that rumor, like, oh, there was a no knockout clause, and then you up the ante and say, I'm going to give him an extra 500 if he can knock me out.
Yeah, I mean, you know, people are going to believe anything they read on the internet, and that's the sad part about today's society and the generation we live in. But again, my whole career is just shutting people up, squashing rumors, so that's what I did by giving him a $500,000 bonus contractually to knock me out.
And as you move along in this sport, and you talked about how much you love it, has it been harder than you thought it was going to be?
Just, you have to sacrifice literally everything. And it only, yes, gets harder as you go on because the competition increases and you need to pull more out of you. And it's more demanding as you go further and further and further. And so experiencing that, it's exciting. And it's almost becoming addicting because of that. It's like a game that you can really never master or never beat. And that's why I love boxing so much.
Were you disappointed? Were you mad when Tommy Fury pulled out of the fight, considering all the buildup going into it?
Yeah, for sure. You know, I was upset because of all the shit talk that had been put out, and I wanted to make him answer that stuff. I wanted to get in the ring and shut him up. And, you know, Tommy's an easier fight than Tyron. Even though people think he's a professional boxer, he's never had the experience like Tyron. He doesn't hit as hard. He's not as fast. He's not as experienced. So I probably would have knocked Tommy out in like 30 seconds. And I was just looking forward to that. But now I get the chance to run it back with Tyron and right my wrongs from last time. And I know I'm going to knock out Tyron this time and prove to the world how much better I got in this last camp.
I was reading People magazine. Don't get on me for reading People magazine.
Okay.
When I was at this, but I saw this. I saw an article and it had to do with Jake Paul. So I was like, let me read this. And you talked about how already you've been in the boxing game, 2 years or so? You've seen how it can wear on you. It said a loss of memory, some slurred speech. Talk to me about that.
I mean, I'm doing what I love. You know what I'm saying? So just in the gym all the time. And sometimes you get injuries. Sometimes you get hurt. That's, you know, this is the hurt business. So there's bumps and bruises that come with everything.
How long do you see yourself in the fight game?
A while. A while. I'm falling more and more in love with it. And this is just the start, and I'm realizing my potential of what I could really accomplish here. And who knows? The sky's the limit. So it's really up to me. But 3, 4, 5 years, you know, I don't really know. I've already fought 4 times in the past 13 months, and it's been like a blink of an eye.
Do you still see the end game, a title fight and a fight with Canelo?
For sure. Yeah. I think winning a world championship would just be fun to say I did it, just because everyone coming in was like, oh, you're not a real boxer. So for me, I'll just say, oh, yeah, I went and won a world championship, but I'm not a real boxer. So what now? What can people say now?
and listen, you've been so successful. Could you see yourself being a promoter, especially with MVP promotions and some of the stuff and the events that you're putting on?
Yeah, I mean, we're already doing it. You know, I'm already CEO of Most Valuable Promotions, and we signed Amanda Serrano, who's one of the greatest boxers of this generation of all time. and we're promoting her as much as possible. She's a superstar, but she just needed that extra platform, that extra push, and someone to really give her that cosign, and that's what we've done. And we're eyeing the biggest women's fight of all time in 2022, partnering up with Eddie Hearn. So Amanda Serrano versus Katie Taylor, and it's going to be massive.
You know, for everybody who comes on the show, we allow people to submit questions through social media. Got a number of them for you. We'll just get to a couple of them. First one comes from Boxing Day from Twitter. He says, Jake, what is your strongest punch?
I would say my right hand.
Right.
My straight right hand, and we've been working on it a lot in this camp, so watch out for that.
Chrissy on Twitter asks, do you have plans to roll boxing bullies globally?
Yes, I want to take boxing bullies as big as possible, and make it a global brand and do more and more and more events. And we want to renovate gyms all across boxing gyms specifically all across the world. We're already doing so, some down in Puerto Rico, and it's been an amazing experience.
Another one from Twitter, it says, you've talked about how you wanted to be a world champion, even though you're at 4-0. When do you see yourself heading that way? So in other words, I guess he's wanting to know when you see yourself getting towards a world title fight.
I think that's a decision that my team and I would have to talk about. And when the time is right to sort of make that run, I need a lot more experience right now, a lot more time in the gym, but I have the mentality to become a world champion, and that's what you need more than anything.
Two more. This one asks, what would it take for Tommy Fury to get a fight with you again?
He would have to beg on his knees and say he's sorry and write an apology letter, handwritten.
This last one, it says, what do you feel is your biggest accomplishment thus far?
I would just say proving myself right this whole entire time. Since I was 15 years old, having a dream of becoming a massive entertainer, and no one really believed in me. And I think my biggest accomplishment has just been me believing in myself and proving myself to be right and never giving up.
What do you think you're doing that, let's say, other big-time fighters aren't doing to draw such an appeal? Not only, I'm not talking about social media, but you're selling out arenas and getting pay-per-view numbers. What is Jake Paul doing that maybe some of the top fighters aren't doing?
I think a lot of things. Originality, first and foremost. I'm just me, and I utilize social media because that's what I know how to do, and so that draws a different audience. I'm so active on Twitter, TikTok, YouTube, Snapchat, Instagram stories, engaging with fans all the time. Everyone's on their phone 24/7, so that first and foremost, and just making things exciting, putting bets on my fights, introducing belts. The list really goes on, but I think more than anything, just originality and being myself and not caring what anyone thinks.
Do you have favorite fighters? Are there guys in the game now where you're like, I really like this guy's style?
Yeah, I really like Devin Haney. I really like Ryan Garcia. I'm a fan of Caleb Plant as well. David Benavidez has been an inspiration, just watching his sparring videos all the time. So I look at all those guys and try to take a little bit of their game.
Interesting. Last but not least, I guess, what do you want people to know about Jake Paul, the fighter?
I'm ruthless, and I'm tough. And it's going to take a lot more than what they're giving me to stop me. And I can accomplish anything in this sport that I want to. And watch out, get used to me, because I really put in the work. And that's something I don't think a lot of people see. But when people come in to spar against me, real pros, they go, wow, I didn't realize how serious you took this. And I think that's something I've used to my advantage, because people don't really know how actually good I am.
And we'll let you go with this one. When you talk about a world title, what division should they be on the lookout for in the future? I'm talking about in the future.
It's hard to say. Maybe 175, maybe cruiserweight. Mm-hmm. We'll see. I don't know how much weight I can actually cut, but we'll see. Yeah. We'll see what happens.
Appreciate it.
Thank you, man.
Absolutely. Jake Paul, that's what we do on The Last Stand. We bring you some of the biggest names in the sport, and I tell you what, you love him, you hate him. Jake Paul has made a name for himself in the sport of boxing. Thanks for watching, everybody. We'll see you again next week.